The PlayerUnknown's Battleground spin-off is looking wild. And I have to confess one big red flag that I missed. The main character looks like Jack Dorsey, the beta male twink responsible for Twitter. That's enough to jam my eyeballs with a sharp bamboo stick. That's equally as embarrassing as the main character being in the Transformers movies. That's a yikes from me. Anyway, hit the like button because in an unpredictable turn of events, shaking the entire gaming journalism community to its core, the Ignorant Gamers Network, IGN, has done the impossible. They have shocked everyone and rated a game 7 out of 10. I find it kind of funny to see the same critics that are being incredibly harsh on the Callisto Protocol are the same ones that gave Pokemon an 8.5. Anyway, the sumo wrestler Glen Schofield has been all over YouTube doing a promotion tour, telling us how hard they worked on the Callisto Protocol. And that should have been red flag number 2 because the Callisto Protocol pushes so hard for photorealism that it ends up costing way too much money to make. There is no doubt that the Callisto Protocol is definitely a looker, but when it comes to gameplay and story, it has a sizable amount of limitations. After playing for a substantial amount of time, I have a good idea, if I say so myself, on what the Callisto Protocol is and what it isn't. It has nothing to do with survival horror except the setting. In its core, it's an action horror game, which is very different. It doesn't have puzzle solving or item inventory management, incremental exploration, or even backtracking. It's not a survival horror game. In Dead Space, you're more concerned with running away from enemies since you're constantly running out of ammo, and every shot counts, whereas in the Callisto Protocol, it makes the player seem way too overpowered at times, making it way less terrifying. See, the thing is, the gameplay has to work in tandem with the atmosphere. What's the point of having this well-done setting that's being held back by generic linear gameplay? See, Dead Space knew exactly how to punctuate its visceral violence and nightmarish horror in this negative space and quiet, along with having this immersive environmental storytelling. These environments in Callisto Protocol do not feel lived in. It's more like a combat arena that doesn't really fit my preferred style of survival horror. I just find it weird that it's trying to be an action horror with not a great HUD and too many slow animations, while having a small arsenal of weapons while also throwing so much combat at you. There's just way too low enemy variety and they lack the terrifyingly unknown look that the Necromorphs had. Anyway, the Callisto Protocol definitely lacks the same dread feeling and all-around horror that Dead Space had. It's lacking so many details that made Dead Space great, like Isaac's scared breathing or his frantic and angry screaming when he's melee attacking for his life. And speaking of melee attacking, oh boy, let's talk about the Callisto Protocol's melee attacks. The game is about 50% swinging for the fences like an orangutan. After the first hour or so, I didn't really care, but then it really pissed me off how repetitive it got. I always thought that melee in survival horror should be used as a desperation move, or the way to finish an enemy like a monster in a weakened state where it can't attack back. But in Callisto, you can beat up every creature in the game with your fist like you're Kratos or something. That combined with the shaky cam and the constant dodging can seem borderline disorientating. See, when your character is an overpowered bozo, then all the horror is gone. There's even a push-pull mechanic that would make Luke Skywalker turn into a dainty fairy. It's so overpowered that it makes the enemy look like a fucking joke. You're supposed to be a hopeless survivor, not a Jedi Knight. If you're going to put a mechanic like that in the game, at least make it so it gets blunt or damaged, so you can't do it all the time. Anyway, I've noticed a lot of reviewers complaining how difficult the game is. I mean, leave it to the gaming journalists to complain about one of the few things that's actually good about the Callisto Protocol. It's not supposed to be easy, you dits. I like the fact that the monsters are aggressive. It's like they not only want to eat you, but they're pissed off that you took a massive dump all over their little cornflakes. The problem problem is, it just startles you with sudden, cheesy jump scares. And that's about it. You get so powerful so fast that it almost turns into Doom. The sense of progression was so much better in Dead Space. Some of the level design choices are just weird. Anyway, look, in all fairness, I think 12 hours is a perfect length. If you're complaining that 12 hours is too short, ladies and gentlemen, I'll take a 10 to 12 hour game that's actually good over a 50 to 100 hour boring slugfest like Arse Creed or Far Cry. So the bottom line is this: the Callisto Protocol is an acquired taste. If you like slower, cinematic gameplay and can stomach the over-the-top gore like watching someone get thrown into a mess of spikes over and over again, then this might be a buy for you. There's a chance that mindless bashing of squishy enemies, while simple and brain dead, might still be enjoyable. But if you're into more faster paced games and can't stomach the sight of gore, then grow some balls and wait 6 months until it's 75% off. For most of you, I would say just wait, because it's really a 7 out of 10 experience. It's not something you just have to go out and buy right now. I have a friend who's running a 3080 and has horrendous stuttering issues. I can see why there was 4 patches on day 1, and on that bombshell, Manic's out.